Grab your beverages and turn up your interweb. Solving the world's problems 12 ounces at a time. It's Dudes and Beer. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Dudes and Beer podcast. Chris Jordan here, your host. Coming to you live this Tuesday night from Austin, Texas. Because, of course, I'm not on the road. We still have COVID. Dang it. Our guest tonight, the amazing, the awesome Scott Ertz from Plug Hits Live. We will be talking about all kinds of great stuff, technology-wise, but especially TikTok, spyware, things like that. How these things come to be, how do they slip through the loophole of programming, all that kind of stuff. Before we do that, let's make sure to remember that we are officially brought to you by podcastcadet.com, folks. If you're a fan of podcasting like I am, want to start up a show for yourself, your friends, your family, fun, church, school, whatever, stop on by podcastcadet.com today. Podcasting is all we do there. I am one of the owners of Podcast Cadet, full disclosure, and if you need branding, if you need production, whatever, we are there to help you every step of the way, from branding a show to building your show, putting your show up, distributing it, monetizing it. We can walk you through everything. If you're a show that already exists, needs an audit, that's what we are there for. Feel free to stop on by. We give you one-on-one consultation and advice from professionals in the field, from branding to audio engineers, video engineers, graphic designers, distribution specialists, all that kind of stuff. So stop on by. Podcastcadet.com is the website. Dudes20 is the code to save 20% off your entire cart. Once again, our guest tonight is the amazing Scott Ertz from Plug Hits Live. We will be getting to him in just a moment. The last few weeks, John Bound has been on break, on vacation, all that kind of good stuff. But he is back now, everybody. And that being the case, we, of course, have a fantastic report from John Bound that he made and put out a while back. Feel free to check this out. This is about the Twitter shadow ban.
What is Twitter incentivizing people to do or not do, and why? The answers will lead to tectonic shifts in Twitter and our industry operates. Required changes won't be fast or easy. Today we're committing to the people and this committee to do that work and do it openly.
A Twitter administration control panel was hacked into revealing alleged leaked pictures spotlighting the buttons Trends Blacklist and Search Blacklist, indicating Twitter does have the ability to shadow ban its users, exposing that Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey clearly lied to Congress.
The allegation that we make, the Republicans, is that you're discriminatory against us, against the Republicans. Your post says, well, there were some Democrat politicians, too. So out of 600,000, if there were 1,000 Republicans and 10 Democrats, it still seems somewhat biased. If it's 50-50, then that's a whole different ballgame.
Well, we agree that the result was not impartial, and that is why we corrected and we fixed it.
So you do agree that there were more Republicans than Democrats?
I didn't say that, but
I would hope that you would want to know if there are people working for Twitter that did have that kind of discriminatory viewpoint against conservatives, that you would at least hold them accountable so that it doesn't happen again.
I would want to know that, and I assure you that the algorithm was not written with that intention. The signal that we were using caught people up in it, and it was a signal that we determined was not relevant and also not fair in this particular case. And there will be times, and this is where we need to experiment, as you know, in writing algorithms in the past, that you need to test things and see if they work at scale and pull them back correctly if they don't. And
but also you should inject your own personal viewpoint into that, unless that's the intention of the company, but you're saying it's not.
That is not the intention,
of the company.
And they should never be.
And I know I'm out of time, but I appreciate.
As a result, Dorsey should have his home raided Roger Stone style, and Twitter's protected status from the Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act should be stripped immediately. If the alleged pictures of the blacklist are credible, Twitter is acting as a publisher in clear violation of their protected status from Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. Add to that, Twitter's vulnerability to hackers poses a major privacy and security threat to its 330 million monthly users and quite possibly national security to some extent. Back in April of 2013, the Associated Press's hacked Twitter page announced that 2 explosions rocked the White House and President Barack Obama had been injured, causing the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 to immediately plunge with a loss of $136.5 billion in market cap. The recent hack attack, which involved high-profile, verified Twitter accounts locked in a common cryptocurrency scam that may have funneled as much as $100,000 in a matter of minutes, where victims of the hack said their multi-factor authentication to protect their accounts had failed. Senator Josh Hawley immediately reached out to Jack Dorsey, asking him to contact the DOJ and the FBI as soon as possible. Despite countless people on Twitter asking why a blacklist search even existed, and the posts of the evidence of that screenshot being blocked at every outset, Dorsey has not provided an explanation, even after proudly announcing that Twitter would not use the term blacklist because of its racist connotations. John Bound reporting.
John Bound, as always, bringing in some great information for y'all folks. We love him over here at the HC Universal Network. Thank you so much for everything that you do out there, John, as far as reporting your show, John Bound Politics, as well. Always great to see the things that you have going on. So glad that you are back from your respite and, back in the chute, so to speak, getting things done. Our guest this evening, as I was mentioning, everybody, so sorry about the technical issues, apparently, and in the process of getting my new board integrated, things like that tonight. I didn't set my audio back on OBS, so there you have it. I'm a tech. It's what I do for a living. Our guest this evening, the great, the awesome Scott Ertz from Plug Hits Live. He is the host of F5 Refreshing Technology as well as Pilch Point. Welcome to the show, Scott. How have you been doing, my friend?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
Been doing great, man. It's been fantastic to see all of the things that you guys have been doing since CES. I had the privilege to go out to Vegas this last year and cover CES with y'all, and it was super fun. Just a week of slammed interviews and head swirling with technology. It was great.
Yeah. How many did we do in the studio? I think the final number was 119.
Yeah,
in
something
4
like
days.
That. Yeah, it was insane. It was insane. And just the sheer mass. Like I was saying, when we weren't in there, we were out walking around interviewing people for individual shows, and it was just swirling. The number of technological things going on out there, and we had numerous conversations over the time regarding things like social media platforms, previous hacks that had happened, and when this with TikTok started coming about, I guess was shortly after you actively joined the Dudes and Beer group and chimed in on a few conversations, and it's been really great to see the way that you guys have covered this over there at Plug Hits and talked about it. So I wanted to have you guys on because you're, of course, way more thumb on the pulse of things like this than I am, other than just following the news, reading reports, things like that.
And in fairness, the TikTok thing is a whole lot older than people know.
Oh, yeah.
The issue actually goes all the way back to Musical.ly, because the Federal Trade Commission filed a lawsuit against the company over child protection issues when it was still called Musical.ly. So that ages it at least 2 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So the government has been worried about this platform for a long time, but when it got purchased basically by the Chinese government, that was when things got really dicey.
Yeah, precisely. And to go into that just a little bit, I've actively got the website of the company here.
ByteDance?
Yeah. Yeah. And what a name for a company. There it is, ByteDance. There it is, folks. There is their website. So
it is definitely a bizarre name, though, when you think about what Musical.ly was, and compare it to the company name, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but it's still a strange name.
Well, and let's start going into, I guess, some of the things that come to find out TikTok was squarely involved in. I mean, it even got to the point that we, of course, like everything else, had Senate hearings. It got to the point where, like the article I have up right now from The Verge, where they were collecting device identifiers for over a year.
Yeah, that one I'm not surprised about. So about a year and a half ago, there was concern that TikTok was collecting device data, particularly on Android devices.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no information released publicly about why. But the military banned all military personnel from using it. The Congress is not allowed to use it, including all support staff. The Federal the FCC. Everybody involved in the FCC is not allowed to use it. And it was all because of concerns over this. And then, what was it? A week ago, we find out, oh, yeah, there's proof of it. They've absolutely been collecting device information, particularly MAC addresses. And if you don't know what a MAC address is, it's essentially a theoretically unique identifier for your network card. That could be your cell phone network. It could be your Wi-Fi network. So you may have multiple on your TikTok account. But when you take those multiple and correlate them together and then spoof them online, somebody could legally identify you as having done something you didn't do online, which
Absolutely.
Is terrifying.
Yeah, they could go out and start visiting kiddie porn sites.
Uh-huh.
If you wonder if you had TikTok on your phone and then randomly it got to the point, folks, where like, hey, why am I getting all these porn ads? Where'd these come from? Why am I getting all these strange product ads that I never went and looked at? That's probably why.
Could be. Yeah. And in fairness, the MAC address collection was only on Android because the iOS APIs don't give you access to that, thank goodness. But, Android's a much more open platform. Epic would disagree, but that's a whole different topic.
Yeah, and you can even get into the fact of it. They comprise like 70% of the app marketplace and Android devices.
Yeah.
So
certainly in downloads, especially free downloads. Android users are more likely to download free apps, whereas iOS devices are more likely to download paid apps. But
interesting.
Yes, it's why paid products always launch on iPhone first. Their users are more likely to pay for it than Android users are.
Wow,
that's an interesting stat for you.
That is a crazy interesting stat to know. And with that in mind, just going back to the concept of MAC addresses real quick, just to loop back to that, the idea of being able to spoof that. You can spoof location with that. What are some of the things that could you could come up against, I guess, personal security-wise with your MAC address.
Well, the way I tell people to think about a MAC address is kind of like your license plate number. It's technically changeable. On more modern Android devices, you can actually have it generate a new one. But it's your license plate number in a point in time. So if somebody with your exact car and your license plate puts their car into a McDonald's building, right? All the security cameras are going to see, your vehicle with your license plate. You are suspect number one. And it is now on you to prove that it wasn't you that put your car into the lobby of a McDonald's. It's the exact same thing here. If it's an Android device with your MAC address that's accessing illegal content, whether it be, let's just say anything on a Tor. So yeah, whether it be purchasing guns and drugs or illegal photos, any of that could be tied to you. And when they go look at your network operator and ask, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon, whose MAC address was this? They'd say, "Oh, it's this guy.
Yeah,
and here's his phone number, and you're number one, and now you have to prove that it wasn't you." Yikes! Never a good situation to be in.
Yeah, and it's so entirely easy nowadays to be able to come across that information. It's not a crazy hack to find it. I have sat there personally and watched people hack into personal cell phones and things like that live on stage.
Yeah, sure. You can packet sniff on a public Wi-Fi and pick MAC addresses off, but it's not you. Yeah. That's not why they're doing this, right? If you're going to go down the conspiracy theory road, which for me is where I am with TikTok. There's too much evidence that they're up to no good. So let's go down that malicious intent. It's not you and I whose MAC addresses they care about. They're hoping that congressional aide is the one who's on TikTok, and they can grab their MAC address. And They can prove it's them through facial recognition and facial identification. They can prove that it's them. They've got locations. They've got all that. It's their MAC address. Now they start communicating with somebody in Russia using that MAC address. Well, somebody in China uses it, communicates with somebody in Russia, but as far as the internet is concerned, as far as all communication channels are concerned, that congressional aide was the one having the conversation with somebody in Russia.
Yeah, precisely. And it's a redirect of the address, basically, kind of like whenever you used to be able to redirect an old landline with picking up and dialing a prefix beforehand,
very similar,
and just forwarding the number, like what I do for our question line, that kind of stuff. Except it's being done in the background without your knowledge.
Because it's not a number that you're aware of. You're aware of your phone number, but there are so many other technological things that are associated with you. There's your SIM card number, your IMEI, and then there are your MAC addresses. And your MAC addresses are the things that matter. Those are the ones that are more identifiable. And it's the reason why Android allows you to regenerate a new one. Because it's too identifiable.
Yeah, I had never even known that Android allowed you to generate another one. I'm going through and regenerating MAC addresses tonight.
I found it about a week ago. I was working on something for work, and I was in the settings. I'm like, does that say random MAC address?
Cool.
It was associated with, I think it was when I was connecting to a public Wi-Fi or a new Wi-Fi. It said basically a checkbox for random MAC address. So basically you could have a different one for every wireless network you connect to, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic actually, because that clears cookies, caches, all that kind of stuff from following around network to network, and basically exposing data incidentally without you possibly even knowing about it.
Yeah, and if you pair that with a VPN.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned a term. I guess it's not necessarily an industry term anymore, because torrents are out there. A lot of people use them, Pirate Bay, things like that. But for those that are not familiar, explain what a Tor or a torrent is.
Well, they're two different things.
Exactly.
So a torrent is a peer-to-peer file sharing system. There's a small file that identifies that you have a thing, and then people can connect to you to get that thing. It is absolutely used for legitimate purposes. A lot of video games have built Tor into their games to do updates. Windows 10 actually has an altered version of torrents built into Windows 10 to do local. Basically, if one of your Windows 10 devices has gotten a Windows update, all your other ones can download it from that computer instead of going to the internet, saving bandwidth and speed and stuff. And then Tor is possibly my favorite weird technology because it was developed by the Navy and most used by drug runners. It is the weirdest change of hands I've ever heard. Basically what it is it's a randomization system that allows for connections. Every connection to a server is unique. So if you go to let's take a photo gallery. Let's use Flickr as an example, right? So you go to a Flickr gallery, and there are 16 photos. So your request is to the server for the HTML page that has a title, and then the 16 images, and then the 16 images. Well, all 17 of them register to the server differently. No two of them register as the same user. That essentially eliminates tracking. Not entirely. There are ways of doing correlation. So the Tor browser definitely has rules. It tells you don't change the resolution of the browser. It's the first thing it says. This opened in a certain resolution. Leave it that way. Don't go full screen with it. Don't change it, because that is a point of correlation. The resolution that you have it at could be a point of correlation. If you're going to do something nefarious, turn off JavaScript.
Yeah,
it has a whole bunch of rules for how to avoid correlation, but by default, your standard like Facebook tracking pixel or Google AdSense, that stuff, there is no amount of information that they could possibly have to correlate your browsing through Tor. It is too chaotic.
Wow. And that's where you start getting into things like the dark web, stuff like that. Now, but just
that is entirely behind the Tor network. Yeah. The dark web is entirely behind the Tor network, but you can use Tor in the same way that you would use Edge or Chrome just to browse the web. You can go to google.com. You can go to facebook.com. In fact, there is a facebook.onion. There is an actual proper there is a proper Tor domain for Facebook. There is a proper Tor domain for Google. A lot of companies have them. But then you have your, random letters and numbers .onion. And when you start getting into that stuff, that is that is your turn your JavaScript off territory.
And one of the people that we actually had the opportunity to talk to at CES, Andrei Yushkevich, before I butcher his name there. But
and that is why I make them introduce themselves.
That's right. Please introduce yourself to the audience. But he has the blockchain router, and that was just one of those pieces of technology that whenever I saw it, I was like, that is amazing. That is awesome to start using the concept of blockchain technology on the front end of your router.
To create a whole like tertiary network.
Yeah.
Because your primary network's internal, your secondary network is the internet.
Yep.
And this creates a whole tertiary network in a very similar way to how Tor does.
Yeah.
Including in that there's its own domain system. They don't all end in onion the way that the Tor ones do. But, it's an interesting idea. And, he was talking about what it takes to register a domain. But it doesn't have, while it has the protection, it doesn't have the hidden aspect, which I think will keep that concept from going creepy.
Yeah. Well, and I was still yet to, I grasp the concept of blockchain. I understand the reason for using it. Like, hey, I would be all about a blockchain form of voting. A form of direct democracy via blockchain. That would be very interesting. And extraordinarily possible in a very short amount of time, given the technology and its applications already.
And the most secure concept of a digital voting machine.
Precisely. And at that point, you could literally do things from your home. You wouldn't have to leave.
You could have the machines themselves basically verify themselves locally and then push to a master. Wow.
Yeah. It would be pretty phenomenal and a great leverage of the technology. Now, I personally, I just don't trust cryptos. I don't.
Are you talking about
cryptocurrencies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's important, like we said in that interview, it's important to keep those things separate.
Yeah.
There's blockchain, which has two parts. Right. There's the audit trail, and there's the verification of the audit trail, and then some systems pay you for being part of the verification of the audit trail. Yeah. That's where cryptocurrency comes in.
Yeah.
And some of the concept is sound and legit, and then there's those apps that have it, and you're like, but why? Can you explain where it fits in? And they look at you cross-eyed.
Yeah, and trying to figure out how to. I don't know. I don't know how you can value it. I can understand how you can monetize the technology, but
I've got this dating site, and we're having our ICO. Yeah. Guess what? Scam.
Yeah. Exactly.
That is somebody who's not actually using blockchain. That is somebody who's trying to scam people out of their money.
Well, and that's just it. It really does quite a bit come down to the fact of learning to really spot those red flags whenever they pop up. Now, not that there were a bunch of red flags with TikTok. There were, like you said, there was an early one with Musical.ly that popped up.
Them knowing that they had a lot of people under 13, which is against the law of the United States.
Yeah.
And they knew it, and they were violating it happily.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of knowing that organization was a problem.
But here's the curious thing, because this happened right as we went to, or shortly before we went to CES, was when YouTube was recommending all the crazy stuff on YouTube Kids.
Yeah,
where it was like, hey kids, tune into the Alex Jones version of what happened at Sandy Hook. It's like what the what? Like, why?
It was it was way weirder than that.
Oh yeah,
because it was like adult versions of kids cartoons.
Yep. Yeah. It was strange goings, and literally one of those things utterly driven by algorithm. But you'd think you'd have that pony attached to the cart before you launched a platform. You launched it specifically for kids. That was your target audience. So how did you?
Interestingly, we can tie this back into the opening segment, and the idea of sometimes you have to try an algorithm at scale. It's the only way to test it.
Absolutely.
In this case, the algorithm failed. Kind of. In reality, what happened was that the algorithm was discovered like Tay. Poor Tay.
Poor racist Tay.
Oh my God, she started out so sweet, and then she started being a Holocaust denier.
Within 24 hours! Like, within 24 hours! It was crazy.
Yeah, she was taken down in 27.
Yeah.
That is a number I will never forget.
But to just... I know, right? She's right up there in the club.
Oh, it was bonkers. But just like Tay, people discovered the trick. They figured out what the algorithm was, and they figured out what they could do and say to Tay to get her to go from being a very kind, interesting communicator to being a Holocaust denier and gladly saying the N-word. And it did not take long. And the YouTube thing was the same way. People figured out what the algorithm for YouTube Kids was. In a couple of ways, there was this weird trend where people were watching these kids' videos and waiting for kids to be kids, I guess is the best way to say it. Things like girls doing gymnastics in a skirt, and they'd wait for the right moment, and they'd comment, and the comments were the times. Yeah. And so those comments started to correlate on the things that they were commenting on and the things that those channels were watching. And so that started to screw the correlation up, and there we end up with an algorithm that's worthless.
Yeah, precisely, and one that really starts just swirling around the hole rapidly. Not to go into any adult places there when we're talking about YouTube Kids, but I knew they'd get a spit take out of you. But literally, to see this stuff, like even right now, I know you belong to a lot of the same podcast communities on Facebook, things like that I belong to. And good God, to see the active denial from people about RIAA hits from ASCAP and BMI. And just to be like, no, I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to keep doing it. And it's like, oh, okay. Because I'm here to tell you, podcasters, for those of you out there who listen to this show, who listen to Talking Sound, where we just interviewed Jace, the producer, who almost lost 160 episodes of his show, and his show pings through online radio stations that pay ASCAP BMI before it hits platforms. And Anchor straight up said, nope. That and all the platforms were gone. And he woke up one day and 160 episodes were locked out from one RIA complaint in like episode 60 out of like 160 something. And I myself had it because I told you before, in June, I had the opportunity to finally become a registered ASCAP BMI production house and musician and composer. So it's like, hey, all right, because my music's out there. I'm promoting some stuff. I'm with College of Hip Hop Knowledge, distributing my music, things like that. So it was definitely one of those like, I should do this. And whenever I did, the distribution company, College of Hip Hop Knowledge, was like, why did you go through and become a BMI production house? You didn't have to do that. All you had to do is register as an artist. It's a whole lot cheaper. I was like, yeah, but with the way podcasts are going right now, it would really behoove me just to go ahead and have that in place as a network owner, things like that. And when you start looking at the fact that every single radio show, they realize that we have stolen their audience. They are listening to us whenever they get to their office because, well, they can't have a radio in their cubicle anymore. Their office probably blocks things off from the website of the radio station. So they're on their podcast app. They're listening to us. They're listening to us while they're cooking dinner for the kids, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They're listening to us while they're mowing their lawn and while they're jogging. So it became the fact of every single radio host now says, hey, after the show, make sure to tune in on the podcast, which now says, hey, ASCAP, BMI, keep your ears out over there. It literally opened up the window and the floodgate of them to go, ooh, look at this entire slice that we totally forgot about.
There's also Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
Spotify has been a big contributor to the rise in RIA knowing that podcasts exist.
Well, and, you know, I'm stammering because I'm trying to say it without really saying it harshly. Good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good.
Oh, absolutely.
Good. And a lot of people see it as a horrible thing right now. I myself used to roll music on Talking Sound. I've gotten back into it. But, man, I had whole episodes muted back in the day where I was sitting and talking to Austin artists. And because we put headphones on and listened to their music, there was a strike against it. I still get complaints about my own music. My own. Like, somebody's using your music. I know, it's me. And then I go to my YouTube channel and it's like, you have complaints from ASCAP and BMI. I know, it's me. Here's my ASCAP and BMI numbers. It does nothing. It disappears for like a month and then comes right back.
I'm going to one-up you on that.
Do it.
So for the 2018 anniversary event for the Drew Project, we had we were live streaming everywhere, including Facebook, and during the event, I get a notification on my phone that Warner Music has claimed some of the music that we were using on the broadcast. Now, I could totally believe that.
Sure.
Because we were definitely using music. We had drag performers who were dancing to music.
Sure.
We were definitely using music. So I'm like, all right, well, let me go look and see what it is that they're complaining about. So I pull up on my phone, and it says Warner Music has complained about this 3 seconds of audio.
Oh,
having come from
Thank you.
Britain's Got Talent.
Yep.
And I'm like, nope. I can promise you, no.
Yeah.
Because that 3 seconds is our president talking on stage. You didn't even strike us on the music that we were playing, but on our president speaking about our organization. And you're claiming that was part of Britain's Got Talent? Bite me.
Yeah.
And so
wow.
Like clockwork, every 3 months I get a notification that Warner Music has put a claim on that 3 seconds.
Oh my God! But I love the fact
we go in and in the notification it says, "What do you want to do? Ignore it, mute it, or tell them to bugger off."
Bugger off.
And so that's the one that we choose, and the video stays as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, honest to God, I think we've got Madonna in there, and I think there's a Cher song in there. Everybody's fine with that.
Yeah.
But Warner is somehow offended by Sean's voice. I don't know what it is.
Oh my God! That's crazy.
While we were doing our anniversary event this year, I got a notification. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, we have a DJ playing. I guess maybe. Oh no, they're complaining about 2018 again.
Same thing.
It wasn't even about that stream. They were complaining about 2 years ago. Yeah.
Oh my god! Yeah, like whenever all this COVID action first started, Amy and I teamed up with Good Counsel Services and did a 5-episode miniseries of it was like a variety show showcasing the talent that was without work, the things that you were going to be doing without right now. And like we had Shakespearean actors, we had like traditional clowns, and every show ended with like a musical guest. Now, admitted, shameless self-promotion, no disassemble, did the music for the intro and outro. I also, at the time, was promoting my new music, so yeah, I provided a piece of content. Within 10 minutes of the first live episode ending, my episode was stopped by Facebook. Like, this video has been blocked. You got a music strike against you. And then I went to go do something and got 2 alerts on my phone and looked, and they were emails from ASCAP and BMI that somebody had used my music. And I was like, this is less than 2 weeks in the system. This is less than 2 weeks in the system. And within 10 minutes of that broadcast ending, it was like, nope. Clamp that down.
Not bad.
So, you know, it's one of those, like, as an artist, I feel good about that. I feel okay about it. And I think it'll be really interesting here in about 2 or 3 years where it gets to the point that even our clips are considered the same way.
Yeah. But if the problem right now is that the algorithms there aren't great either. You know, we're getting these, like Sean's voice. I know for a fact he wasn't on Britain's Got Talent. He certainly wasn't talking about the Drew Project. That I can be sure of. And so
was he just dropping a bunch of F-bombs and things like that in a row? Because, you know, that could be part of the Britain's Got Talent content.
Well, that's possible. But no, that's not Sean. But you know, we're seeing that kind of thing where these algorithms are over anxious, and there was a story in one of our groups this week that annoyed me, and I got into a fight with the author about wording, because words matter, people.
Right?
Words mean things. Use them correctly. Deleted is permanent.
Yeah.
Sorry, I guess I'm just apparently just full on calling him out at this point. Anyway, so the story was about somebody getting called out on Anchor about duplicate, but it was his own content. Mm-hmm. He put up a trailer on 2 of his shows, one hosted at Spreaker and one hosted at Anchor, and Anchor, quote unquote, deleted his account. They didn't. They suspended his account.
Okay, yeah. I remember this conversation now. Yes.
They didn't delete it. They suspended it. Whatever.
Well, and, you know, it's interesting, though, because I've had this, like, we had a Dudes and Beer app. We had a HC Universal app. And they were both stricken on the Google Podcast or the Google App Store for duplicate content.
No, you didn't make the mistake of putting the word COVID-19 in there?
Oh, no. This was, like, these apps had existed for, like, a couple years. Yeah. Hey, man, I got episodes that say COVID-19 in them. I just happened to have doctor after it, too.
That was...
because that was the guest.
That was a little bit of a dig at Google over pulling down that podcast app whose name I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. No, like, I knew people that started apps or started podcasts about COVID. And the first thing that I kept saying was like, watch it, people. Watch it. Like, you think it's the Wild West. It's really not.
It's not, because at some point the Astros are going to put policies in place, and they did.
That's right. That's right.
If you are not a state-approved media outlet, you cannot have COVID content in the Apple or Google stores.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a podcast app.
That's right. Or
Except that one podcast app that got pulled down for that reason, because the bot didn't pick it up right.
And this is also the exact reason why people like yourself, people like me, with Podcast Cadet, people like Todd Cochran advocate the fact of own your URL. Distribute from there. They can remove you from any platform in the world. The rules for you owning a website and putting content up are 180% different. 180 degrees different.
I can, honest to God, I can only think of 2 domains offhand that have had trouble keeping the domain registered.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Pirate Bay is one of them, and there was that it wasn't quite full-on bat crazy conspiracy, but it was pretty close. I don't remember what the site was, but it was like a social network, not really, but it was for crazy people.
Yeah.
They kept taking that one down, and they moved to Tor to loop back to that. They ended up moving to Tor because there's no rules in that Wild West.
Yeah. I believe the app is called Onion Scan. Even my former employer, like it's sitting right over here next to me in my studio is the newspaper with the headline like Alex Jones content removed from the internet.
Except his own website.
Except his own website. So
I use, in fact, you and I were talking before the show.
Oh yeah.
A couple of years ago, I was on a panel for a conference called Uppercase from a company called Missing Letter. Yep. And my topic was about owning your content.
Yeah.
And I think technically it was mistakes that new media creators make when they get started.
Yeah.
And mistake number 1 is they don't own their content. They don't. If you don't build your house on property that you own, at some point somebody's going to repossess the land.
At some point you're going to come. Yeah. At some point you're going to come back to no house.
And so Alex Jones was the example I used. And I said, I'm not making any judgment calls here. Nope. I'm just going to let you know that if he had been pointing all of his people to the website at the end of all of his videos, he wouldn't have lost as many people.
Well, yeah,
and everybody in the chat for the thing was like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense."
Yeah,
and we saw Glenn Beck do the opposite.
Yep.
He constantly pushed people to his website, which got bigger and bigger and bigger, and is now The Blaze, which is the home of lots of great content. But Ben Shapiro is really all I needed to Blaze, but still. It started with him saying, go to GlennBeckTV.com or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And at the end of everything.
Yep.
He even started saying it when he was still on Fox.
Yeah.
He was sending people to his personal website when he was on Fox.
Yeah.
So he leaves
Fox. He was shameless about it. He threw it down.
All of his stuff is on his website. He's duplicating to Facebook. He's duplicating to YouTube, but all the content is on his website, and everything says go to your website, go to the website. And today, it's one of the highest revenue generating new media sites on the planet. Yeah,
absolutely. And to take that a step further, everybody in our industry, I think uses the analogy of Howard Stern wrongly. Because really the brilliance of Howard Stern was the fact of not just taking it off terrestrial radio, but truly owning his content and saying, I will do my show my way, and I guarantee you we will have more listeners than we ever had.
And somebody will
because I know what my audience wants.
I'm going to do my show, and I guarantee people will listen. And somebody's going to broadcast it.
Yep.
I don't know who. I don't care who. And somebody's going to broadcast it.
And literally Sirius was like, we'll bring you on.
Oh,
we'll bring you on. And because of him and because of things like Dead Radio, Willie Nelson and things like that, that were just huge following and huge fan base type stuff. They really took off as a platform. But it was people like that were like, no, you know what? If it costs me enough money to go and start a platform to do it, I will. And I think that's kind of the mentality that a lot of people in this industry are missing. Yeah. And it's something that
Howard Stern's transition was the busiest month of my life at Radio Shack. My God.
How many Sirius tuners did you sell?
They shipped us so many receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even, when we got the box, because every store usually had 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And they shipped all of us a case of them before they made the announcement of what was happening.
Yeah.
And we're like, what is this about? Are we going to be giving these away? Are these going to be cue cats? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So we get these cases of radios, and then they make the announcement that Howard Stern's going to Sirius. We're like, got it.
There it is. Yeah, precisely. But it really, really is about owning your brand, owning where it's coming from, as Todd likes to put it, having everybody dial back to Moonbase Alpha. Going to that one location, and that's your distribution point. And even now, I loved your comment the other day whenever I posted our recent stat report that I looked at, where it was like, look at that, over 50% of our listeners are coming from the Washington, D.C., Greater Virginia area. Hello, intelligence people. So you were like, maybe it's the prism replacement. And if so, keep going, algorithm. I'll just keep feeding you. I'll just keep feeding you.
You know what? If we'll just keep calling it Prism. If Prism is interested in what you're saying, at some point it's going to tell people to go check on you.
Yeah.
Which more downloads. More devs.
Yeah. Exactly. Hey, go for it. And it's been interesting. It's been fun over the last couple years to kind of see the way that some of these algorithms work. And just see whenever, right after we had Mike Turber on for one of his first episodes talking about the Mandalay Bay shooting, which I was oddly enough in Vegas. It was a pre-record, because I knew I was going to be on night shift in Vegas. So I pre-recorded it, had my wife shoot it out, and on Thursday, I got an alert in my email, people are looking at your LinkedIn profile. And I went and looked, and it was 85 people looked at my LinkedIn profile in the last 48 hours. And 60 of them were from the Department of Defense. And 30... It was oh, crap. But
and so,
hey, algorithm.
Interestingly, that is a good transition point back to TikTok.
Yeah,
because that's what that's all about. It's all about being able to look at the content, correlate it to who you are, and then have not our Department of Defense, but a Department of Defense do the exact same thing. Yeah. But when you control all the data, it's a whole lot easier. And that's exactly what happened there, right? Prism pulled in the information, was like, oh, well, we know this guy. We don't know this guy. Yeah. We need to find out who this guy is. This one's already on our radar.
Yeah. We're well aware of this dude in Austin.
We don't know.
He's right down the road from that dude in Austin.
Yeah. So let's look into this other guy. And so there you go. Your LinkedIn profile goes through the roof.
Yeah.
Because the Department of Defense is researching who it is that's talking with this guy that we already know.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what TikTok was all about. That was why ByteDance, we'll call it a company, but it's not really.
Air quotes. Air
For
quotes,
so many
everybody.
reasons, it's not. The biggest reason being, of course, that's not how communism works. But even the people aren't citizens. But even the people are property of the government. It's
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
So it's a company, but it's directly tied to the government, and everybody knows it.
Yeah.
That's why ByteDance bought Musical.ly in the first place, was to get the popular, the activity, the action, the information that they could pull into their own version of Prism to keep track of people that we would not want to have China keeping track of.
Yeah, precisely. And even to take that one step further, to go into, good Lord, I'm here right now communicating with my audience on Facebook. They got their initial round of funding from In-Q-Tel. Like that's quite literally the financial arm of the CIA that invests in future and up-and-coming technologies using artificial intelligence, things like that. I mean,
and we're surprised that Facebook data goes to the government.
Yeah. Well, and the case in point that I bring up all the time is, if you remember, whenever Facebook was really first getting its true traction and moving along, and it was one of those like, hey, yeah, you're on Facebook, right? That was right up around the time that Hosni Mubarak was ousted from Egypt. And that whole revolution
was entirely social media.
Entirely started on, and they never found the dude. They never found the account that was like, let's all go meet in the town square, dang it, we've had enough.
There was a great show that didn't get nearly enough attention because people don't understand Aaron Sorkin's comedy, apparently. I do. I love him. I think he's one of the best writers ever.
Mm-hmm.
But it was called The Newsroom, and they actually did an episode entirely surrounding that time frame.
Yeah, that was wow, man. That show was hard hitting. But absolutely, as someone who has worked on both sides of the media, from literally infrared to ultraviolet, from like local community public television to like, yo, what's that dude talking about? And to see the way that things are covered, to see the even here recently, the Shadowgate documentary that came out from Millennial Millie. And I know that she is a contributor to InfoWars, folks, things like that. I was a button masher for the folks. But here's the thing. Despite any of the Trump leanings, things like that, if you take the red hat out of it and just go with the facts of what they're talking about with the social media and the way it works, that has been shown time and time again. And it's kind of like one of those, I don't know why people believe the CIA. I would challenge you to find, I'll wait. I'll probably wait until I'm old and out of breath. I'm not going to hold my breath because, like, I got a kid in the next room and I love him. But I would challenge you to find me the time where the CIA has been called before the people who pay them, us, Congress, and have told the truth. Ever. So
I don't know. I think
it's their job to lie. We pay them a lot of money to be really, really good at it.
I think Avery Bullock on American Dad was pretty open.
Oh yeah,
about his affair with Haley and
his raging coke habit.
God, I love that show.
I know. That's the classiest. It's great, but it really is once you start digging into the onion that is these programs, even to go into other things funded by In-Q-Tel was Niantic Soft, the people that made Pokemon Go. They got their initial round of funding from the CIA, and of course, it's not quite the spyware program that people think it is.
Hold on. And their second round of funding from Google.
I didn't know that.
That's why Google Maps is the system that they use.
Oh, very forward thinking on that end. Here's a question from Doug Wiggins, one of our listeners and a good friend of the show. Does it matter that TikTok is based in China when our data is sold to the highest bidder anyway?
Well, when it's based in China, it doesn't have to be sold to the Chinese government. It's already there, and that's the problem.
Yeah. And
although, on the other hand, it's the Chinese government. They're not interested in selling that data to anybody.
No.
It is going to be its best.
Well,
in that regard, in China's hands.
Well, if you start thinking about it, and really, let's start thinking about it in a curated social media kind of way, folks. Let's start thinking about it in an algorithmic advertising kind of way. Let's start thinking about it in, I hate saying it, but a trade war intellectual property kind of way. If 3/4 of the ads being pushed to you are for Chinese knockoff electronic products,
which they are,
you start looking at those things, and it is quite literally a wave, a tsunami, so to speak, of data mining to do that, and to start bringing that forward where the products that you're making for pennies on the dollar as opposed to the ones that are actually for the companies that people are trying to buy, which is one of the big reasons why Huawei, things like that were kind of pushed out of the American market. I know tons of technicians with Huawei laptops because they're on their Alibaba. They're wrecking shop on their dark web. I know my techs. They're out there rocking their business. They got their hacked Amazon Fire Sticks and all that kind of business.
Well, I'm fine with that, but there's no amount of a discount you could give me to have a Huawei laptop. My God. I don't even like to go to their press conferences. I'm afraid that there's nanobots in the air.
I gotta say, some of my favorite side conversations ever during presentations have been with you, Scott. I've had some fun ones at the tech booth in the back, but boy howdy, some of them that we had this last year at press conferences were great. And it really is just one of those, the technology that is out there is so readily available. Like even myself, I am a neophyte when it comes to some of the things involved with, I can't figure out Instagram. I'm 45 in 2 weeks, folks. I cannot figure out Instagram. I'm just here to tell you. I'm not.
You're not going to be subjected to the majority of the Chinese knockoff ads, are you?
No.
Because that's where they are. Oh my God, that's where they are.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get them for all the products on Facebook and things like that. But yeah, quite literally, it's one of those, even talking to a website guy today, it's like, know your audience. Is your audience on Instagram? I don't really think most of my audience is on Instagram. So I know one of my co-hosts years ago started up an Instagram whenever we did our first Mikomoto auction to post pictures while we were out. Cool. So there's one out there. So I'm sorry if y'all are following the Dudes and Beer Instagram and you're not getting your Dudes and Beer fix.
Because he has no idea how to log into it.
No. Like, it's there. I just don't know what the hell to do with it. Like, okay, so it's pictures with some words. And it's also one of those, how much time can you contribute? At some point, you're diluting other things.
Yeah.
When it's just you. Like, if I had a social media team, what have you, if I was a media mogul, which, hey, give us a decade, Scott, we'll talk. But not yet.
I am 13 years into this, and I'm still doing social media myself. Don't get going too much.
Drop the high aspirations. Rupert Murdoch, I am not.
Thank God I've got this tool called Relay That. Oh, relay this, relay that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I type in RE and it opens.
Nice.
But if it weren't for that, the little bit of social media that I do wouldn't happen.
Well, and, just to loop back to the concept of algorithms, automatic advertising, the way that these things pick up. I mean, you've been in Vegas frequently. I'm in Vegas without COVID typically at least 4 or 5 times a year.
I was going to say, not this year.
Not this year. Sadly, I was almost going to post today like, man, you know what I miss? Vegas.
Yeah.
And it's really just the sprawl of tech, like it's one of those. It's just beautiful. Have
you seen the deal?
Freak. No.
Okay, so the Bellagio is doing a deal. They're calling it Work from Vegas, and it's like $130 a night. You get a fountain view room.
Ooh.
You get $70 a day in food credits. You get a concierge who will book appointments for you and set up calls. And for $130 a night, I am so tempted to grab my laptops and go for a fountain view room at the Bellagio.
And the resort fee is probably $500 a night. We've added a COVID tax to that. Convenience tax.
In all reality, the mayor of Vegas is like super into getting people in there, so probably not.
Here's another question from Doug. Will TikTok go the way of Vine? Where is it bought and destroyed?
Well, it is Vine. It is almost exactly Vine, except the time limit is longer, which is why I'm not interested. Right? Yeah. It's a concept that keeps happening, and it's nothing special. And the only reason it's special is because people are already there. And, Instagram has already replicated it. They're calling it Reels. And people who were doing a lot of stuff on TikTok are already doing a lot of stuff on Reels instead. I sent a video of somebody on Reels to a friend. He went, "Oh, I follow him on TikTok, and he hasn't published anything in weeks." I'm like, yeah, because he's moving over to...
There you have it.
to Instagram like everybody else. So, what does the future of TikTok look like? I don't know. It could be that it comes under Microsoft, but my God, I hope not. What a distraction for Microsoft. That's not who they are.
Yeah, that's just a bad deal for them, man. They really need to cut bait and run and pay whatever out fee for like making the deal and not fulfilling the deal they need to make. But they need to really get the hell out of that. Like post haste.
Even Bill Gates publicly said, "Bad deal, don't do it."
Yeah. And I mean, thank God he's not in the position that he used to be in with the company and everything. So.
Oh, well, there's that.
But which is a lot of reason why that's happening also.
But if it comes under Microsoft, it will go the way of Nokia for sure. If it comes under Twitter, I think, who's the other big bidder right now? If it comes under Twitter, Twitter knows how to run a social network and how to maintain users. They don't know how to grow users, but they know how to maintain users. But they are also single-handedly responsible for Vine's demise. So, I don't know.
I tend to, as a platform user, as far as business, podcasts, not necessarily personally, but as far as the things that I really spend time on social media with, like if you follow me on social media, folks, you may see like, hey, I got a new board today. But you ain't going to see what you see on Dudes and Beer, because I don't share Dudes and Beer to like my personal page. Like, that's where I share a photo of my kid here and there, things like that. I try to curate those two identities as different things. But it really is the fact of, I remember a few years ago, I just remembered my train of thought. I remember a few years ago I worked the Rooster Teeth event here in Austin, and it was shortly after the demise of Periscope, things like that.
Periscope's still around.
Well, I guess the real chop that Periscope experienced in users. Because they were asking in one of the Q&As with the owner of Rooster Teeth why they weren't on Periscope, why they weren't on these verging social platforms. And he was like, I can either focus energy and attention and people and funds and money on figuring out what's happening, or I can use that to bolster what's already happening on platforms. And when that platform is like around for 2 or 3 years, hey, they're a founded social platform now. You've been around for a couple years, like you're gonna shake a lot of things out in that time. We're gonna figure a lot of things out. So at that point, it's worth putting some people behind if it's something that people are looking for. And I kind of look at it the same way. Like I said earlier, I don't really see myself going and doing a whole lot of Instagram stuff. Much like even in the podcast groups, I don't really participate in the follow me, I'll follow you necessarily, or really more the let's exchange reviews.
Yeah, I don't care about reviews.
Because it's like, number one, yeah, I really don't care about reviews. Number two, it's also the fact of, if you're doing that, you're loading your reviews. Like, you yourself are jacking up with the organics of the algorithm. If you just let the algorithm be, you'd be surprised how fast you may, and this goes right back to our episode when we first met and I had you on Talking Sound, of gaming the algorithm. Yeah. And learning to do that organically through things like that. And even today with our website guy, I used you as an example to my wife of why to tag pictures, things like that. And I was like, look, I'm going to search Scott's name. Now let's go to images. And the 12th, 13th image on Google, and believe me, folks, Scott has put out a crap ton. If you think Dudes and Beer has some content out there, good God. Like, I shared with him my stat. He was like, I would be nauseated if I tried to figure my shit out.
2,437 episodes is what we published this week, I think. 2,437.
Wow. Kudos to that, man. Because at a minimum, that's 2,400 hours.
Well, in fairness, keep in mind, a lot of that's CES and Collision, so they're 8 to 12 minutes.
Sure. But still.
So even if you average...
As long as you're putting content out, that's what matters. The idea is that you've got 2,000-something out there with your name, and believe me, much better SEO optimized, because that's the kind of stuff you and your team do for a living. Quite literally, for me to show up as like the 13th image with your direct name search associated, I was like, that's a proud accomplishment.
Oh yeah, it's something
like,
with us.
That's a proud moment for me to know that like my stuff pops up when people search his name. But that also has something to do with how much content I put out, things like that. So it really is organically gaming that algorithm, and the way that things search and the way that things crawl around the internet. And once you've kind of at least figured out some of that mystery and the way that things work search-wise, and get tied together keyword-wise, you can really start doing some fun stuff as far as getting your things out there. And to know that TikTok, things like that, are literally using our keystrokes on Google searches. Like, they're recording your keystrokes. That's crazy sauce. The only reason to record keystrokes is nefarious purposes. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of really, unless you were testing somebody's system for them and paid to do it, I can't think of a legitimate reason to record keystrokes.
Keystrokes for sure. The clipboard, I understand theoretically. I keep using the example of Truecaller.
Mm-hmm.
When you open Truecaller, if you have a phone number in your clipboard, it'll say, "Hey, do you want to search for that number?" Which is really convenient. But that does mean that they're looking at your clipboard, which is uncomfortable. And so when you have somebody like TikTok, who's already questionable, already makes me uncomfortable. And it turns out, oh yeah, by the way, they're looking at your clipboard. Oh, they're not doing anything with it. They've never asked me to do anything with it. Why are they looking at my clipboard?
Yeah, precisely. Why are they looking at your clipboard? Why are they looking at your kid's clipboard? Because I guarantee you, like you were saying, with their last software that came out, where quite a few of their users were underage, I guarantee you just about the same thing it is with TikTok, where they've got quite a few people. I mean, you find it in every platform where, I mean, they're 16-year-olds, things like that. So even MySpace during the not even the beginning of its demise, but as it was just going down in flames, it came out that there were like 60,000 registered sex offenders, something like that, maybe more.
I was gonna say, is that all?
Just using MySpace.
Oh, so just the ones in LA.
Yeah, that was just the people like using their name because they didn't have snaps enough to change their name.
A fair comment. Fair comment.
So, like, yeah, these things are something to be concerned about whenever you, and it's been interesting. I know Decentral One was an app that McAfee came out with, and John McAfee, not like McAfee the antivirus software that became a horrible, horrible virus after John sold it, but crazy gun-toting, video-making John McAfee made this app years ago called Decentral One that you can install on your phone and told you all of the background access that every single app had. So pretty forward-looking. That was like 2012 that he came out with that app. Another question from Doug, why are these spy-capable apps allowed in app stores?
Well, it's an interesting question, especially when you take into consideration that Apple won't allow Google Stadia or Project xCloud in the store.
Yeah.
So why can I not play Halo on my phone, but I can give my exact location to the Chinese government at all times? It's a fair question.
It's a valid question to ask.
And it really comes down to the bizarre policies of the app stores. The app stores don't get it twisted. It doesn't matter which one we're talking about.
Nope.
They don't care about you.
Nope.
It's got nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with them. Their policies are entirely in place to generate revenue for them. So anything that's a popular app, they want in their store, with the exception of Fortnite, but that is because of Epic. That is going to be my favorite story of the year. But anyway.
Well, hop into that for a moment, because I was trying to explain to my wife the other day what that meant. And I couldn't even come up with proper words. I was like, my God, do you understand what kind of doors this opens?
It is.
Go into it, because there are a lot of parents out there that tune into this show, a lot of people my age that have young kids that play these games. I don't even understand why Fortnite takes more than 14 days.
So there are... Oh, God.
Yeah, you just got that.
Oh, no, I got it first. I was trying to ignore it.
Yeah, don't.
So it has only been 2 days since F5 Live, and the story has gotten so much more interesting.
Yeah, it has.
Okay, so both app stores, we're not going to count Microsoft because Microsoft's policies are different. So we're going to go with Android and iOS. If an app, the policy is so weird. Let me see if I can get the wording right. If an app allows you to purchase something in the app that is used in the app, the purchase has to be processed through the app store. If you purchase if you purchase something in an app that is not used in the app, then it can have its own external purchases. For example, Amazon. You don't buy your stuff through Apple Pay or whatever. You buy it through Amazon. That's because your curtains aren't used in the app, in the Amazon app. They're used in your living room. But with Fortnite, what you've got is V-Bucks. They're an in-app currency to buy skins and hats and dances and whatever other stupid things that the app allows you to do. So those have to be processed through the store. But when you process through the store, which Epic doesn't want to do, you have to pay Apple and Google 30%. So they are charging a 30% commission.
What?
For you to use a service you don't want to use.
How is that not an FTC violation? And you wonder why they're being hauled in.
Every government on the planet is investigating them over antitrust over this right now.
Wow.
Except ours. So, what does Epic do? Epic says, Fortnite is too big to fail, right? They want us in the store. We have to be in the store. The first app store to take us out is going to look like an idiot. So what do? They put direct purchases of V-Bucks into the game and give you a 20% discount for using it.
Oh my God.
Within 2.5 hours.
Here's a pittance of your money back.
So,
hey, puppy, here's a bone. Thanks for the steak.
Well, if you have two choices, you can purchase it through the App Store or you can purchase it directly, and purchasing it directly saves you money. Great. So I'm gonna get $15 worth of V-Bucks, but I'm only gonna pay $12.50. Oh, of course I'm gonna go that way. But that is a clear violation of the App Store rules. Yeah. So 2.5 hours in, Apple pulls the app. Epic was prepared for that, but didn't think it was going to be that quick. So they had a lawsuit filed and ready to go. So it is written, it's ready to go. They filed it with the court about an hour after the app came out of the store. Wow. And then later in the afternoon, Google pops it too. So now you can't use Fortnite Mobile on either platform unless you have an Android phone and you sideload it, which you can still do. That's always been an option. Yeah. In fact, Epic has always encouraged that as an option. It was the way they launched it in the first place. So lawsuits are filed. Both companies go, our store, our rules, go away. And so,
wow.
So Epic has basically taken the mantle in an attempt to get this in front of an antitrust court. That's what they were doing. What they were not expecting was for Apple to threaten to take their developer account away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so...
wow.
So Unreal Engine for iOS and macOS might be about to go away. So
just for
those, a ton of macOS games are about to shut their doors.
Wow. Yeah, and I mean, just as a developer like I am with Apple, which I'm not right now, I just purchased an app platform the other day that I'm going to be paying with that wasn't too bad. I'll check it out, and if it's something worthwhile, I'll let you know, brother. Maybe y'all can cover it or use it, what have you, because I miss having my apps. My audience miss having my apps where we can send out push notifications. We can chat back and forth, things like that. So I've been exploring that option, and just going into that realm itself, looking at the privacy that's there, looking at the privacy that is provided for my people. It's something that I know Todd Cochran talks about all the time, is the privacy issues going. Oh my God, the raging privacy issues going on with podcast apps right now.
Oh my God,
they are like. It is horrendous. Like, you think TikTok's a problem. The only problem is TikTok's literally owned by a foreign government.
Right. The amount of data, I don't know that he ever said the company publicly.
He didn't.
But the amount of data that Chartable was collecting about users was so creepy.
Wow.
And if you... I did an F12 on some of their data, and I was watching what was being transferred back and forth.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just it. You know, when you download these apps, you really got you got to look at. Yeah, I mean, you can look at EULAs all day long. Good luck. Have fun. Have fun not falling asleep by page 10 or 12 of 82.
The first thing you have to do is you have to look at the permissions.
Yeah.
And thankfully, and this is going to be weird to say, Apple's leading the charge on this.
Wow.
In showing more permissions.
Wow.
It's how we learned about the clipboard on TikTok, which is what sparked the downward spiral for TikTok. Yep. Was when we learned about the clipboard, because iOS 14 now has a permission for clipboard access. So people were opening TikTok, and everybody's getting this notification that says, do you want TikTok to keep accessing your clipboard?
Keep accessing?
Like, I didn't want them to access it in the first place. So,
who said you could in the first place? Well, like, probably line like 8,000 of 18,000. Said that in the EULA.
Or maybe just, that was a bug in the code. We didn't need to have that in there. That'll be gone in the next publish. Sure will. But that's how we learned about that, is because Apple is adding all these new permissions in. So check the permissions before you download an app. Because here's the thing. Your solitaire game doesn't need access to your contacts.
No.
If it says that it needs access to your contacts,
get rid of
download another one.
Yeah, get rid of it until it says don't need access to your contacts.
Yeah. Now, there are some things that are counterintuitive that unfortunately make sense. Why does your flashlight app need access to your camera? Well, because unfortunately the flash is part of the camera array.
That's right.
And so that's an unfortunate side effect of technology. Yeah. But in general, your solitaire game, and I use that as an example because it was one that I found on my mother's phone. Yep. Your solitaire game does not need access to your contacts.
Wow. And like I said, feel free to check out Decentral One. I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but it is a pretty cool app out there.
So the number one of the word one.
Word one. Letter D, Central, word one. Great stuff. And it was really, like John, I remember he came on the show and was talking about it, and it was like, wow. Like, he doesn't give 2 bits of pee what he does to other people or part of the industry. If he's just straight up exposing what you're doing to other people's devices, he's cool with it. And it was a really interesting conversation to be there and be a part of, and to even hear him talk about the way that these algorithms work, the way that these really AIs begin learning the ways that we search, begin learning the ways that we literally look for information and categorize information on our devices regularly. So to have things like that out there, like TikTok, that are readily accessing your information is a little bit disturbing.
So this is interesting.
What's that?
The link for the iOS App Store doesn't open, and the link for Android says URL not found on server.
Oh, wow. Wow. For Decentral One?
Yeah, they may have popped both of them.
Interesting.
Because that's one of the other things when you ask, because I'm going to go back to your question. You asked a question, and we answered it, and then we went around, and I'm going to answer it again some more. So,
do it.
So the app stores don't care about you. They care about them. And here's another example. Sometimes, I don't know, let's call the company Pear. Will find an app or a collection of apps in the App Store that have become real popular, and then they'll build it into the next version of iOS, and then remove all the apps that were there before for duplicating features of the operating system.
Wow.
Parental controls was the big one in iOS 13. They stole the idea of parental controls. There were dozens of popular apps in the store, and they all got pulled after iOS 13 went into place.
Wow.
And all told that they duplicated iOS features.
Wow. And, even, like I said, to go back to the apps that I had, I don't know if it was the fact that, and it's pretty common in a lot of places to have people go through and duplicate streams, to duplicate apps, things like that, to, like, spoof clone them, I guess. But at the same time, was it the fact that literally the network app was putting out the same content as the show? That would just strike me as odd. To think that as something that was like, duplicate content worthy. So, yeah.
Yeah, that one's weird.
Yeah, it was really strange. I never got a straight answer from Google. I never got a straight answer from anybody about that. What I did get was a refund for my apps.
Hooray, all $19.
Yay. Well, no, I mean, it was like a few hundred. It was nice. Because it was like, hey, man, these things were up for like this long, and I've been paying for this long. And
you don't mean the $19 developer account for Google. You're talking about the actual cost of
the app build itself annually.
Got it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, because I don't have my apps right now, I totally let my Apple developer certificate expire right now, because all I got to do is go back and pay the $100 later whenever I've got apps ready to test. But I'm not going to keep paying it until I have them.
The best thing Microsoft did was made it a one-time $10 fee.
Amen. And I think whenever I joined it, it was like $25 or something like that to be an Android developer. But I could release like 28 apps a day if I wanted to, if I was out there developing apps. It's beautiful. That's the way it should be. And you know, granted, there is a curated. We've had this conversation. There's a curated world that is the orchard, that that all the little apples live in.
It's a walled garden to protect all the fruit.
Oh my God, that's great. Because
I've used a lot of fun with those analogies lately.
I've used the term orchard dwellers for years.
I love it.
So, and I've got a Mac, but it's really more one of those, like, there is a specific use in my industry for like a MacBook Pro, and it is Playback Pro, and like I got to be able to have that opportunity. Like, I got to be able to have that on my call list. So that's I have one because it's the only thing that you can use to build iOS apps. Well, not just that, but yeah,
so I understand.
there was that, and the fact that like the app that was built for me that I was playing for, every time I submitted it was like, nope, this fails. Run it through Xcode, and it's like, I did, and it passes. Why does it not pass your system? Nope, sorry. It's like, I've been paying for 2 years for an app that I've never been able to put up on the App Store. Oh, yeah. So I gave up with I'm sorry out there, Apple folk. I know that there are quite a few of you. I see my stats. I understand it. I want an iOS app for dudes and beer and talking sound.
In fairness, I am watching us on an iPhone right now. But I also have a Galaxy.
I was going to say, you are what most people would consider a power user, Scott. You are out there literally like milking every device for every, like, if you could wring another drop of bits out of it, you would be able to.
I got a Windows phone here too.
Oh man. Yeah. It's like you talk about tech for a living or something.
Yeah, you know.
What's that about? So, and really, folks, it's the fact of remember that anything out there that's free, you are the product.
Yep.
In the end game of all of it. If the app is free, you're the product. Period. The Dudes and Beer app, a little bit different. All I'm doing is trying to start up a conversation. That's the product. But whenever you're talking about like Facebook, TikTok, anything like that, your opinion, the things that you're posting, the harmless, quote, metadata that they're garnering from you, is the product being sold. And believe me, that metadata goes far and wide and deep. Really far and wide and deep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even in cursory scans, like myself, as the developer of my websites for everything, I of course have Google Analytics, and folks, I'm here to tell you, I can find out the average education of my listeners. I can find out the average education level of people going to my website and visiting my website. And that's also because
correlation's a hell of a thing.
That's right. And it's so that you can curate and better curate that content, because that's what Google loves. It just loves sitting there and curating content and going, this is what you're looking for, this is where you need to go. And the more you do that, the better off you are. And to know that you can do that through so many ways, and to know that, good God, people like TikTok were out there doing it with your MAC address, doing it with your kids. My God, that sounds as dirty as possible. Doing it with your kids' MAC address. I don't want to say it like that, but it's true. Literally, just the fact of, they have had access to all kinds of things and been able to spoof your presence since day one. So, thank you so much for the time that you guys over there at F5 Live as well as Plug Hits Live have spent covering this topic. It's been great to tune into those and kind of check that out as things have broke and come out, because it's really been like, amongst everything else in the world going on, like the dumpster fire that is 2020, it's like one more bottle rocket just flying out of the dumpster fire that you're like, oh, wow, another bottle rocket? Okay. It's not the attention grabber that it really should be.
Yeah.
And this is something that should literally, it should be the dumpster fire. This should be the dumpster fire. And
it's literally a case of national security.
Absolutely. And shown so to be that way in the eyes of Congress, to even if it has elicited presidential order, an executive order,
and somehow those of us who are concerned about it and pointing it out, we're the ones that are crazy, even though it's literally a case of national security.
Yeah, I don't wear a tinfoil hat because, well, that doesn't ground jack.
It's got to be copper.
That's right. That's what my mesh is for. Literally, be careful out there, folks. Whenever you're just downloading apps, especially whenever you're downloading apps for your kids on devices, that kind of stuff. We're getting ready to do. I just texted Billy Joe Kane from Radical Liberty Education Foundation a little while ago about coming on the show to talk about human trafficking again, because that is just up on the radar right now, hugely, and it's there. These things are there. These apps are used by those people. They're used regularly by those people in addition to your personal data, that kind of stuff. So very, very important issues to think about whenever we're talking about, like you mentioned a second ago, Scott, national security, that kind of stuff. So thanks so much for taking the time, bud. Let everybody know where they can go to find all your great episodes from Plug Hits Live and F5 Live, or F5 Refreshing Technology, as well as everything you do. Good God, man, you're more of a serial entrepreneur than I am.
Yeah, it's crazy. First, I want to apologize. Apparently, my mic was set for my webcam and not for the Rodecaster. So I apologize for the coughs that you guys have heard that I haven't, because I was muted. But I had no idea that the mic was set wrong. So I apologize for that. Anyway, hopefully Chris is recording this multi-track and can mute that later.
Sure.
Anyway,
yeah, I edit. Me and Todd are together in a lot of camps.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so F5 Live Refreshing Technology, Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern at f5live.tv/join us. We've got a lot of other shows, including the Pilch Point, which takes place usually about 15 or 20 minutes into that show. So we cover gadgets, gaming, internet, and media, and then Abram talks about something from Tom Hardware, where he's the editor-in-chief. Then we have Plug Hits Live Presents, which is our special events feed, which is empty right now because the whole world is...
There is no live event ever right now. Yeah. Ever.
There's nothing special happening for us to event. So...
but even the previous stuff that you guys have, not only from CES, of course, shameless self-promotion, go check out the stuff from your host with his Talking South podcast, but the stuff that y'all have from, like, Roboticon, that kind of stuff, you guys were out all the time at, like, robotics conventions and some of the best upcoming technology out there.
Yeah, so the robotics stuff can be found at firstlooks.tv. That we cover middle school and high school robotics competitions over there. Technically, it's just first competition, but I have a feeling you're going to see some Vex stuff start showing up in there pretty soon. Just because that program's growing right now. We've also got on Plug Hits Live Presents, we've got a lot of stuff from CES, from Collision, and other events. Gulf Coast Maker Con. You get to see weird little things that locals are working on, which is my favorite. Although there is still one interview. To this day, I have no idea what the product was, but that's okay. It was probably 4 years ago. I still don't know what the product was. I rewatched that interview probably 3 times a year. Still have no idea what the product is. Doesn't matter. But we've got a lot of stuff, and you can find all of it at plughitslive.com. And follow us on social media as well. We're pretty active over there, except on Instagram, and definitely not on TikTok for lots of reasons.
Yeah. For many reasons mentioned this evening.
And because I'm not 16.
Yeah. You don't want to seem like,
I don't get TikTok. I don't get Snapchat.
Exactly. It's one of those, know your market, people. Know your market. Use those things to go out, garner followers. It's kind of like saying that an ad on Facebook is going to convert to listenership.
Yeah.
No, it'll garner you more followers on Facebook, which may in turn, in the long run, organically turn into more listenership. But it's not going to immediately just hey, I paid $50 to boost an ad. I'm going to get 5,000 listeners. That's not the way that the algorithm works. That's not the way it's meant to work.
And just because you get views on a particular statistical views on a particular video doesn't mean it has any value to anybody.
That's absolutely right. So once again, Scott, thank you so much for taking the time. Please do hold the line while we close things out. While you're online checking everything out from Plug Hits Live, Pilch Point, as well as F5 Refreshing Technology, and the other great shows from Plug Hits Live, please do not forget to stop on by the Talking Sound podcast, shameless self-promotion, as well as Dudes and Beer podcast. The Knowledge Vault. We have been adding crazy things to the Knowledge Vault lately when it comes to documentation, all kinds of new warp drive technology added there that are actual patents out there right now on warp drive technology, all kinds of cool stuff. Stop on by, check it out. Stop on by HC Universal Network for other great shows like Yes But Why, Megas Elgar. Happy birthday, Megas Elgar. Thank you so much to Beer Latte podcast for having me on the other day. That was great. Go on by, follow them on social media, everybody. They were super fun. Till next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Dudes and Beer
Be good
podcast.
at it. Bye-bye.
To listen to our audio streams or chat with us live, download the official Dudes and Beer app for Android and iDevices, available on Google Play and iTunes markets.
We don't have that anymore.
For more episodes, content, and information, visit us online at dudesandbeer.com. You can also find our episodes on Breach.tv, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast service. Dudes and Beer is a proud member of the HC Universal Network family of podcasts. For more about our sponsors and other podcasts on this network, visit hcuniversalnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, everybody, and until next time, drink responsibly.
Okay, we're clear.
I'm still holding the line.
Don't hold the line.
Okay.
You cheesy bastard. I love it.
It's the first one I could find. It was my headphone cord.
Oh, man. That was great. Thank you so much,
I can't
bro.
believe I had the wrong audio source. I'm so sorry.
Hey, that's all right. I was playing around with my new Tascam earlier and apparently had things set to that somehow as my, because I got one of the Tascam Model 12s.
Oh, I saw.
Oh, my God, dude. My buddy Henry from Guitar Center was like, how do you like it? I was like, it smells beautiful. It's like that. That's the first thing I'm going to say in the review video is the smell out of the box is amazing. If that's not creepily awesome, I don't know what is.
So weird.
Because, every piece of gear out of the box like has that unique smell to it, whether it's the packing material, what have you. But between that and the fact that it came with like a pinky thick actual manual was like, yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah, loved it.